This was not the video I planned to make. If you've been following along on my 200 bird challenge, you'll know that this was going to be another catch-up video. And I was going to tell you that we were planning to take a trip to North Queensland. However, life happened, the video didn't, and now I think we'll leave the catch-up until a bit later, because I want to take you to North Queensland, where the weather was a lot warmer and the birds were really cool. Well, here it is, 5:30 in the morning. We are getting ready to board our plane, that's it right there, to Townsville. Heading up there for a few days with some friends. There'll be time for a bit of birding and lots of time for sightseeing as well. So, off we go. Townsville is quite familiar to us as we used to live there back in 2012. Our accommodation was on the Ross River, right in the middle of town. We were on the 3rd floor of the Oaks Hotel, and it wasn't very long before we saw our first bird off the balcony. Great bowerbirds look like they're quite plain until you see this. Only the males have this bright pink bit on the back of their heads. Being bowerbirds, of course, they do build bowers like this one in the picture above, but I think this one may have just been a juvenile because I couldn't see any bowers or even any evidence of bower building anywhere close to where this one was. Really not sure what he's doing here. Maybe some kind of display? These little brown honeyeaters are very common in Townsville, so it was very surprising that we only saw the one of them for the entire time that we were there. They're one of the smaller honeyeaters that you might see up in the north. White-breasted wood swallows always amuse me. They like to cuddle together when they roost. Here's a young blue-faced honeyeater. The patch of skin around their eyes, you can see it's bright yellow there. In the adults, that would be brilliant blue. They're sedentary here in the northern parts of Australia, but in the south, where we live, they migrate north for the winter. As dusk closed in on day 2, this huge cloud of birds appeared over the river. I think it's a mixed flock of welcome swallows and white-breasted wood swallows. Here's the best photo that I could get of them. And finally, just as the light was going, some rainbow lorikeets appeared. Probably one of Australia's best-known parrots. They're found all over the southern and eastern parts of the country. Day 3 was spent on Magnetic Island. It's an island just about 8 kilometres off the coast of Townsville. The car and passenger ferry is the only way to get there, and you land at Nellie Bay. Here's an eastern reef heron on the rocks by the jetty. To get around the island, you can go by a bus. It only costs $1. So we jumped on and went across to Horseshoe Bay, which is on the other side of the island. I was amused to see these crested terns, each staking out their own buoy. As we walked around, this leaden flycatcher popped out almost at my feet. A little further on, we came to this lovely lagoon behind the township. It was a really pretty place. We've been to Magnetic Island on a couple of occasions, but I'd never actually been here before. Interested to see all the birds, including this magpie goose with its goslings. I don't think magpie geese are very attractive, but have to admit the goslings were really cute. This forest kingfisher was doing what all kingfishers do, and keeping a good eye on everything that was going on around it, including watching our party. And there were plenty of these about. I think they're called agile wallabies. Saw them right across the island. This blue-winged kookaburra is the smaller cousin of the more familiar laughing kookaburra. It's got the same massive beak though, and here you can get a much better view of its beautiful blue wings. Unfortunately, this is the best shot I could get of the bar-shouldered doves. I was looking into the sun and then it flew away. We walked back along the path to Horseshoe Bay. We came across this pair of drongos. I've actually never seen them in a tree before, only sitting on a fence post, and I've certainly never heard them singing or calling in any fashion. And you can see in this shot their forked tail, which is almost unique among Australian birds. While waiting for the bus to go back across the island, we saw this helmeted friar bird. It is one of the biggest honey eaters in Australia, and it's got the largest casque, that knobbly bit on the top of its beak. There was a flyby by a Brahmini kite. You'll find these right across India, Southeast Asia and Australia. They feed on carrion, fish and small reptiles and insects. There's a better shot that was taken a bit later in the day. And I had to include this shot of bushstone curlews. They're so rare at home, but so numerous over here. I'm not 100% sure on this one, but I think it is a juvenile fig bird. I couldn't see any adults around, but they're very common on Magnetic Island, so I think I have it right. This one, though, I am sure of. It is a white-winged triller. They're found right across Australia, even as far south as South Australia, where we live. I did get one very poor shot of a pied currawong, but I was very distracted by these beauties, white-bellied sea eagles. There was a pair in the distance. They're the second biggest eagle in Australia. These are adults. You can see the white underneath them when they turn. Possibly they're a mated pair. If they were juveniles, they would be a mottled brown all over. I don't get to see these guys very often, so I was absolutely enthralled to be able to see them. And I just had to include some shots of these rock wallabies. They're small and remarkably friendly. And there we end part 1 of our North Queensland adventure. Part 2 will be coming up soon. Until then, happy birding!